Hello YouTubers and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be split in parts and I hope it reaches more people. So we'll be covering the video in English, Hindi, both languages, and the video will be split between international news, domestic news, the news about ancillaries of renewable energy, the news about EVs, and the news about research and development. So there will be 4 videos on this weekend, so the video is not as long as it used to be in the past month. The videos were 40 minutes long and it were not reaching more people, so we have decided to split the videos based on the categories of the news, and this is how it is going to be for this month. So we'll be trying out with a reach, and I hope it reaches more people and more people like the format of our video coverage. So let's get started with the video with a cheers, keep hydrated and drink water. Hello YouTubers and welcome back to another video of weekly solar news. This video is going to be about international news, where we are going to cover news about solar energy, renewable energy markets, solar trends, market insights and industry insider special news. So let's get started. First news is coming up from International Energy Agency that is saying Iraq can fix electricity crisis by planning long-term reforms. So Iraq is facing acute power cuts, and this is due to Iraq's negligence to opt for renewable energy sources, and they rely heavily on fossil power, and they are burning coal equivalent of the coal that they are importing daily to produce power, and their power needs are fluctuating from 12,000 megawatts per day to 4,000 megawatts per day. So they are not able to meet ramp up ramp down capacity very easily, and International Energy Agency is saying that it can be met with long term reforms. And with the news that Iraq is going to have election rally coming up soon by the end of this year, so this is a much needed step in order to win for the current government. German government has proposed a study with the Fraunhofer University to evaluate the potential of floating solar on lakes and former mines. So they have proposed the 3-year long study where they'll be installing 30 kilowatt of solar arrays in 2 formations. One is on ground mounted near the lake and one is floating on the lake, and they will study it for 3 years in order to estimate the potential of using the 500 lakes in Germany to install floating solar, and this could initially produce a small power uh, this could initially produce small power for German grid, but in a long term it could produce upwards of 50 gigawatts. So this is a study opted for 3 years, and they are saying that data will be shared throughout the world for more floating solar adoption around the world. China has declared that in 2020 they have been using renewable energy and they have upped their game. 29% of power need for China was coming from renewable energy, that is up from 1.3% compared to 2019. Samsung and QCells have entered a partnership for zero energy homes. These zero energy homes are self-sufficient energy homes and they'll be producing power from renewable energy sources. So this partnership between Samsung and QCells is for Samsung Smart Things energy service, that is a IoT based platform that Samsung has launched, and QCell's smart solar modules and energy storage systems. So they'll be communicating between all the devices in the house and they'll be making the home more self-sufficient in energy needs. Chinese banks are going cold on coal power plants in Africa. We all know China was rapidly investing in Belt and Road Initiative in African countries, and the biggest Chinese bank has said that they will no longer fund coal power plants in Africa. So they have set back amount of $20 billion that was being invested in coal projects in Africa, and the biggest blow that has come this week is $3 billion project fired power plant in Zimbabwe. So China's biggest bank, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, has said that they will no longer fund projects that are unviable, and this signals a good growth to renewables. So is this a sign that Chinese lenders are gradually moving towards renewable energy sources and moving away from fossil power? So It is a point that we should consider throughout the world. Solar bodies are piling pressure on Italian government to simplify permit process. We know Italy, I feel you, and I think this is the issue around the world, that the government and industry is moving on a parallel track. They need to merge somewhere in order to have a rapid deployment of solar energy. So this pressure is coming from Solar Europe, and they are lobbying for the government to ease out the process and permit process, because in Italy large scale utility power plants were facing a timeline of about 6 years. So it is a huge time, and in that time the costs have changed. So the potential of solar PV is very high in Italy, as the groups are saying, and it will not be reached unless administrative hurdles are overcome. So the lobbying is on in Italy, and it is on in India as well. In the major developing countries, the fight is similar, that the government bodies and the industry is not converging on a similar point. Sweden's EQT fund buys US based Cypress Creek Renewables, and they have bought a portfolio of about 10 gigawatts. It is a huge news. Tongvi has doubled its polysilicon pipeline capacity with 200,000 metric tons of facility in plans for the year 2022, and it has invested about $2 billion for this to up their capacity to around 400,000 metric tons by the year 2022. And now Tongvi has also joined the likes of Zent and Daco Energy, so they'll be one of the top 3 manufacturers of polysilicon. In Chinese market, domestic market, the price of polysilicon is fluctuating about 200 RMB per kg, that is 2000 Indian rupees per kilogram. And in this price hike, due to the polysilicon price hike, the wafers price have shot up and the cells price have shot up. So similarly, the developers around the world are facing a crisis due to the polysilicon price increase. So the Chinese manufacturers are taking a good stand to control the prices, and they are expanding the manufacturing capabilities. Green Climate Fund accredits Morocco's Agency for Sustainable Energy. So it is a South Korean based climate fund. They have invested about $227 million in Morocco's Agency for rapid deployment of renewable energy assets. And they are doing this to help Morocco in climate change efforts and the COVID recovery plan. Residential and large-scale solar transforming how Australia's energy market operates. Australia last year installed 3.7 gigawatts of large-scale solar power plants and 2.5 gigawatt of small rooftop PV residential plants, and 19% of the total electricity generated in Australia was met by renewables. And now their government is eyeing renewables as a bottleneck due to the surplus capacity installed. So everybody is trying to feed into the grid, and nobody is importing from the grid, so it is acting as a bottleneck for the grid operators. So they have introduced a feed-in tariff where you have to pay a certain amount to feed in a certain unit to the grid, and beyond that you will be charged penalty. Lithuania's COVID recovery plan earmarks 242 million euros for renewables. Out of 242 million euros, like, they have a COVID recovery plan budget of 2.2 billion euros, and out of this budget they are putting 242 million in renewables to rapidly meet the climate target as well. Vietnam remains hugely promising solar market, but cost of capital hurdles remain. So national operator has said that due to Vietnam's rapid deployment of solar PV plants last year, they are facing a bottleneck, and they now have a surplus of solar energy, and it is oversaturated with private sector interest. So last year Vietnam said, we will no longer be providing any subsidy, we will no longer be providing any net metering. You have to install solar PV plants right here, right now. So last year they saw installation of about 9 gigawatts. That was the highest compared to all other countries in a single year, and this saw interest from private players, businesses. So now they are facing a bottleneck because everybody is trying to feed into the grid, like just like Australia. So now Vietnam is saying we need to change our plan, and they are eyeing green hydrogen as a fuel for the Southeast Asian region and as a commodity to trade between the regions. So they are also eyeing floating solar with pumped hydro solar energy. So they'll be putting floating solar on the reservoirs, on the dams, and they'll be using the surplus solar PV power to pump the water from the dam back into the reservoir. So pumped hydro is being paired with solar floating. Repsol closes Hecate deal and they have bought the 40% stake for solar and energy storage projects by the developer. Aquila Energy has also closed acquisition in Portugal of 50% stake of a Tesseract holding subsidiary. 4v2 refinances 45 megawatts of Italian solar PV projects. Renewable powered island can be a outlier for Greek archipelago. So there is a small island in Greece islands with a population of 500, and they were relying on electricity produced by diesel generators. So now they are opting for a 1 megawatt solar PV farm that will be generating solar power for the 500 residents of the island, and they'll be opting for virtual net metering. So the plants will be installed on large rooftops of schools, government offices, buildings, and the residents will benefit out of this. So the same solar power will be used for EV charging and 5G telecommunication towers. Improving investment conditions could make Indonesia world leader in clean energy. Indonesia wants to attract investors to invest in the renewable energy potential of the country. So Indonesia government says that it has abundant untapped potential for finance and investment in renewable energy, and they are opting for this after the COVID-19 crisis. It is a part of recovery plan. As of 2019, Indonesia had utilized less than 2% of its total renewable energy potential, and they want to make it 200% by 2045 in order to meet the carbon neutrality deal that they have signed. K-Star has been awarded number 1 ranking for the China UPS market by sales volume. So this year they have sold about 20,000 UPS in China. The UPS sizes range from upwards of 200 kVA. Equite downgrades Sterling Wilson's solar short-term rating due to ongoing challenges in maintaining liquidity buffers. This is a condition every major big developer around the world is facing due to the price hikes across the commodity sectors involved in solar industry, be it steel, iron, solar panels, solar silicon, polysilicon, wafers, cells, silver that is used in panels. Everything has shot up in price, and this is causing a liability on the big developers and the PPAs that they have done. So Sterling Wilson's rating from A1 has been downgraded to A2 due to the loss that they have generated. So they have reported an operating loss of 49 crores and against an operating profit of 145 crores last year. Applus acquired solar consulting and engineering firm Enertis. So Enertis provides due diligence, quality control, advisory services throughout the value chain for module manufacturing to design, construction, operation of solar PV projects. So it is like a designing consulting firm operating in the solar PV industry, and they have been bought out completely for around $23 million. Jinko Solar has announced that they will be putting up a 1.5 gigawatt solar project in Hefei City in Faidong County, and they will be investing about 2 gigawatts of hybrid renewable projects, and this is coming for the investment of $1.86 billion. And same news from China. Gois Energy, that is a diamond wire cutting manufacturer, so they have announced that they are eyeing 10 gigawatts of wafer production capacity, and they are wishing to establish this facility amid the crisis of polysilicon and wafer production crisis. So they used to supply diamond wire cutting ropes and diamond wires for cutting off ingots to wafers. Now they are saying they want to establish the wafer production in-house themselves, and they will be investing about $220 million for this production capacity. It will be taking place in phases. China's Uyghur labor clouds solar sector as panel prices swell. So, due to the monopoly of China as a country in solar silicon industry, so 80% of global production of this raw material, that is polysilicon, comes from China, and it is concentrated in this region of Xinjiang. Xinjiang is the region that has been in controversy for over past 2 years now due to the human rights violation of Uyghur Muslims in that region. So now the world is going to face an uncertainty of polysilicon prices. The price of polysilicon per kg right now in US stands at $27 per kg compared to $6 per kg in last year 2020 June. Climate financing by multilateral development banks reaches $66 billion in 2020. So multilateral development banks, namely Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and other banks, they have pooled in a money of $66 billion, and they want to invest in climate mitigation practices. They are saying that this fund will be assigned for climate change mitigation finance, and some amount will be allocated for climate change adaptation finance, because we are seeing that right now the buildings are collapsing in coastal regions throughout the world due to the sea rise. So they want to invest some money for the adaptation and some money for the mitigation. That is a good move. R Power, that is a Poland based company, wants to enter Germany with a co-development deal of 80 megawatts of solar. So they are saying that this partnership will be supported by a long-term power purchase agreement between the country's solar auction, and they will be issuing green bonds amounting to a value of 222 million US dollars. Solar construction risk mount post-COVID, but Asian lenders remain undeterred because Asian countries are pushing towards renewable assets deployment, and they are doing it rapidly to meet the 2030 and 2035 carbon neutrality agreement that they have signed. So, despite the cost increase due to the polysilicon price increase, wafer, glass, silver, all the commodities that are used in the solar PV industry, they have shot up. Despite this, Asian lenders that are the major banks, they are committed towards financing the solar projects, and they are signing the projects despite the PPA amounts being very low. Cubic PV plans to invest $1.1 billion in solar wafer cell and manufacturing capacity in India. So those who have not watched their previous video, last month we also covered that Bill Gates funded company 1366 Technologies, that is a US based cheapest wafer manufacturing company in the world. They are planning to invest in India for the public linked incentive tender that was launched by IREDA. So now what has happened is, this is an interesting news, do listen to it. 1366 Technologies has merged with Hunt Perovskites on June 28, that is in week 4, and they have formed Cubic PV as the new entity, that is the name. Cubic PV is now funded by Bill Gates and Mukesh Ambani combined. So we saw Mukesh Ambani displaying the plans of 75,000 crore rupees for setting up 4 gigafactories, namely in solar PV, battery manufacturing, EV manufacturing, and storage capacity. So now Mukesh Ambani and Bill Gates have shook hands and invested in Cubic PV, and Cubic PV is planning to invest $1.1 billion in India to set up a 10 gigawatt wafer to cell line by 2025. No one in India has a single capacity line of 10 gigawatts. The highest capacity line that is present in India is 2 gigawatts. So this is a big news for India. Terna to invest $21 billion in Italian grid for energy transition. So this is the Europe's biggest power grid player, and they are saying that long-term development plan is set towards renewable, and they want to invest in renewables, shift their business entirely on renewables, setting up microgrids, small mini grids, so that they save costs in wire layout and the transmission cost. So they are planning to spend 1.2 billion euros for a new line of 1000 megawatts that will be laid between Switzerland and the rest of Europe, and they are also allocating some budget for this year, that is 750 million euros, for a 20-kilometer undersea cable between Greece, because Greece wanted to opt for green electricity, and Greece is saying, I want to sell the electricity to the world, they want to sell the green hydrogen to the world. So Terna is going to help them, and they have an investment plan of $21 billion for the next 10 years. They want to transition the entire European grid towards renewables. Big news. Smartest Energies Australia strikes 500 gigawatt hour PPA with Australian investor PAG. PAG is Providence Asset Group, and they have set up a plan to acquire multiple small community based solar farms spread across Victoria and New South Wales. So they are saying when the total capacity will be bought out by the group, so these 30 community based solar farms will combine produce 500 gigawatt hours daily, and this will help reduce the expenses for the region in electricity. And they are saying that initial agreement covers 30 months period, and the potential is for 10-year extension of PPA. So this PPA will be a long PPA, and if this model is established in Australia, they want to establish more models in Australia, different parts of Australia. So this is in Victoria and New South Wales. And I think this is the future. Like mini grids, microgrids are the future, because small decentralized power farms, and when you combine that, it acts as a generation and producer capacity. This is a good news. New Jersey is set to pass two key pieces of solar legislation. So, what this legislation was, previously they had a legislation that was passed incentivizing the development of at least 3750 megawatt of solar power plants. Now the new generation says, as we covered in last week also, US had launched a white paper saying that agrovoltaics is the future, and now they are saying that dual use of solar energy should be found out, because US is seeing that around the world we are installing utility scale power plants, and we are, you know, wasting the land resource that is there, because once the solar plant is put, the land underneath is unusable and it is going to waste. So last week we covered agrovoltaics white paper by United States. Now New Jersey has passed a legislation saying we don't want to establish normal utility scale power plants, we want to establish a dual purpose solar utility scale power plants, where they are setting a target of 10 megawatt each. The plants will be elevated to a height of 3.3 meters, and they are asking the developers to plan in such a way that the land will be dual use. So underneath the solar panels you can produce food, agriculture production, it could be animal husbandry, or it could be plant based, and on top it is producing power. So it is a dual use project, and they are piloting for 10 megawatts, and if it is successful they will be spreading it towards throughout the 3750 megawatts. Right now it is being practiced upon 200 megawatts. Longi has moved court to reverse the Dutch decision that was passed in June week 3. So in June week 3 we covered that there was a case filed by Hanwha Q-Cells on the imports of Longi being made in Rotterdam. So the case was, I'll re-establish the case. The case was Hanwha Q-Cells said that the Longi panels infringed on their solar PERC technology, and they said that Longi is using our PERC technology and they have the patent in Europe. So Longi should not be allowed to sell those panels in Europe. But Longi is protesting against this case filed by Hanwha Q-Cell, and it is saying that we have not used any of your patents, so let our modules go. There is a big news. Texas governor pushes for fossil power and nuclear power incentives. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott is pushing regulations to strengthen incentive for fossil fuel nuclear power generators in effort to avoid a repeat of deadly blackouts seen last winter. So he's saying that Texas should prepare for a cold winter this time around, and he said that natural gas and nuclear are the only sources that are reliable at that time. And he's partly true, but I would like to request Mr. Abbott that please look into energy storage solution. You have Elon Musk in US, so ask him for a utility scale power storage solution. He'll surely be able to help you out rather than going for fossil fuel and nuclear power. So what he has also said, that generators can't guarantee their availability like wind and solar, and they should bear the cost of failures. So he said to go with you solar and wind, we'll go with nuclear and fossil. IceJet Heavy Engineering joint venture firm that is based in Dahej, Gujarat. So Hitachi and Zonen, it is called. They have procured an order of vanadium modified low alloy steel reactors, and this reactor will be used to convert vegetable oil into synthetic transport fuel. So this is a big order for Indian manufacturing firm. It is a joint venture between government firm and a Japanese firm, and it is a PPP entity as you call. Sembcorp's 60 megawatt floating PV plant in Singapore now online using Trina modules. So they have used Trina bifacial glass modules, and they have used the 182 cells. So 210 Vortex dual glass modules and 25-year power purchase agreement with the Singapore's National Water Agency. So big project coming online, floating project. SolarWatt flexes muscles in home energy storage in a fight with Shell and Tesla. So Germany's SolarWatt, that is backed by BMW's billionaire shareholder Stefan, has launched a small module that links between solar panels on the rooftop and a power storage module that is placed in a basement or on the ground in the house. So they are saying that this small module will be able to communicate between the solar panels and the batteries and the electric vehicles in order to cut costs. So they are saying that this smart module will decide when your batteries are going to be charged, when your electric vehicle is going to be charged, and when you are exporting to the grid. So they are saying that this smart module that they have established will be in fight with LG, BYD, Tesla, and LG Chem. So big news. Japan has almost doubled its solar target with 108 gigawatt planned by 2030. Right now, Japan is dependent on coal power plants due to the rapid climate change that it is facing. So, Japan is aiming for 108 gigawatt of solar capacity. That is 1.7 times the country's previous target, and it is a good target to have. Cash-strapped GCL prepares to pay $189 million to ease out project sell-off. So what they are doing is GCL, as we all know, is the biggest manufacturer of polysilicon in the world, and it is listed in Hong Kong. So right now their share prices were floating very low and they were banned from share market in Hong Kong due to the debt that they didn't pay in last year. So now the polysilicon maker is disposing of its solar farms and it's liquidating its assets for financing its new energy businesses and to pay the debts that they had. So now they are paying 1.2 billion RMB to buy a minority stake of 6% in it in the subsidiary it already owns. So the structuring of the GCL group is very confusing. Those who don't know, they have various branches in the GCL group and they are using different branches to fund each other's business, and that is how in India also it is working. I'll name a firm that is working like this. It is Adani Group. So they are also having different branches and they are funding each other to establish themselves. So same as with GCL, and they are right now finding this way. Ohio has public hearing for 350 megawatt of solar. So Ohio state legislation has said that large scale solar power plant are a no-no for us because these large scale solar power plants are too huge for the size that is Ohio. So Ohio is saying that you should establish small micro farms and mini grids rather than installing a single 350 megawatt solar park. Positive outlook for financing floating solar projects in Southeast Asia. So Institute of Energy Economics and Financial Analysis has revealed that potential for floating PV in the Asian market is at least 24 gigawatts, and they are saying that this is promising for the Asian market with most segment saturated in Philippines and Thailand. So great news, and as we all know, floating solar produces more power. I'd say like at least 12-15% more than the ground mount project, and compared to rooftop it produces about 30-35% more power because of the cooling effect of the water. AES to close 1.1 gigawatt of coal power plants in Chile amidst renewable shift. So as we all know, Chile is the country that is blessed with lithium and it is blessed with coal also. So now everybody is rapidly deploying the renewable assets. So the renewables, like we covered last week, solar has made obsolete the coal power plants. The LCOE derived from a solar power plant is less than the LCOE derived from a coal power plant. LCOE, I'll repeat again, it is the levelized cost of energy. So the levelized cost of energy, that is the amount that is required to produce one unit, it is cheaper than the coal power plant because solar is a renewable asset and sun is every day coming up, so it is basically free energy. So this group is saying that we'll be disposing of and retiring our coal power plants, and they have a pipeline to retire about 10 gigawatts of coal power plants. Right now they have retired 1.1 gigawatt of coal power plants, and they are saying we are going to invest 2.3 gigawatts in renewable storage in Chile and Colombia combined by 2024. Big news. BlackRock to support renewables in emerging markets with $250 million. So BlackRock is a hedge fund group. It has raised capital from institutional investors right now to invest in renewables in the emerging markets. So BlackRock is betting big on renewables and they have set aside a portfolio named Climate Finance Partnership that will focus on grid connected distributed clean energy plants, energy efficiency, transmission, energy storage, and electrification of transport in Asia, Africa, and Latin America. So last year they invested about $2 billion. Last month they invested about $200 million. This month they are planning $250 million. Amazing news. Asian solar markets shrugging off unprecedented supply chain disruption. So, as we all know, the Asian markets and the markets around the world that are focused towards solar PV are facing a crisis due to the rapid increase in the logistics cost and the commodity cost that is used in solar industry. So, I name again, solar PV uses polysilicon, silicon, silver, aluminium, steel, glass. So all these costs have shot up, and copper for the wiring has shot up. But despite this, the cost shooting up, Asian markets are bullish on solar PV deployment, and they are seeing huge volumes of business generating alongside daily life. So this is coming due to the cash flow restrictions of businesses and the operating expenditure of businesses who are currently procuring normal fossil derived power. So in India, I'd say there is an example that all the businesses in India buy a average price at 8 rupees. But if they go with solar, they are producing the power on their own and they are generating the power at about 1 rupees. So there is a saving of 7 rupees. So this is the reason, despite the prices of the commodities linked to solar PV shooting up, the businesses are opting for solar power, and this is good for the solar PV industry. So as they say, it is exponential growth despite the disruption. UAE's Masdar picked to develop $174 million solar project in Armenia. This is a project of 200 megawatts, and it will be done on design, finance, build, own and operate basis, with Masdar holding a 85% stake. This project will span over 500 hectares, and it will be built on a unusable agricultural land, and they will be setting up this substation also, and they will be creating jobs directly and indirectly. Longi Solar Electric. Longi has supplied 1000 kilowatt. Longi has supplied more than 1000 kilowatt of high efficiency modules to Crystal International Group in Hanoi. It is a garment manufacturer, and they are saying that the current operating expenses will be reduced by 15%. China solar PV demand could surpass 100 gigawatt in 2020 due to the massive production overcapacity. So this is a good article. I ask you to read this. So what is happening in China is they didn't see any growth in the year 2020 or in 2021. They are seeing very less growth in 2021. So due to the flat demand in 2021, there is a massive overcapacity buildup that is happening in China right now, and the Chinese industry may be on track to see bumper solar year in 2022. So they are saying that the current capacity in the residential market is very low, but it is seeing an upsurge, and they could add more than 20 gigawatts per year from next year in the residential solar PV market. So the manufacturing capacity for last year was 162 gigawatts and in China, and the total world capacity was 168 gigawatts. So you can imagine the extent the China production capacity is and the overproduction that they are having right now. So the PV wafer production is set about 248 gigawatts globally, and 240 gigawatts were in China. So this is a huge news that China is openly saying that we have a overcapacity buildup, and this could maybe signal to a low price maybe next year, but I don't think so. So this is a good news, and I wish you that you read this article. Regulators approved nearly 1 gigawatt of solar PPAs for Georgia Power. So Georgia Power has won 970 megawatts of solar power from 5 other utilities, and it is a 30-year long power purchase agreement. The project total project size is 5400 megawatts, which is 5.4 gigawatts, and they will be in the portfolio by the end of 2022. So with this deal, the total power that Georgia is consuming, the solar will have 22% of its power generation mix. Big news for Georgia. Fitch, that is a rating company, it has assigned the rating that to Renew Power Private Limited, that Renew's holdings in solar and wind in India are stable, and it has said that $525 million notes will be issued. UAE and Saudi Arabia will lead the Gulf market for distributed energy. So UAE and Saudi Arabia is set to lead the market, and Oman is seen as the region that will have fastest growing market in the Gulf region. So distributed energy will be set in UAE and Saudi Arabia because of the urban cities that they have developed, and Oman will have the fastest growing market due to the highest irradiation zone that they cater. And the Gulf Corporation power sector said that the distributed power will come from solar PV, distributed wind power, hybrid systems, diesel generators, gas generators, and they have estimated a revenue of $602 million by the end of 2021. German renewables firm Blue Elephant gets new investors and they have scrapped the IPO. So the new investor that came in was a German billionaire Strugman family. So they have invested about $89 million in the form of equity and they have scrapped the plans for IPO now. Nepal has become power surplus as the 456 megawatt Upper Tamakoshi project starts generation. So this dam was under development for a long time in Nepal and now it has started production, it has started generation of electricity. So now Nepal is set to become power surplus. EU finances to back solar pumps and lanterns in Tanzania. So European Union has allocated a electricity financing initiative and they have set a fund of about 1.26 million euros for the domestic solar products, Simu Solar, and they will be issuing the bonds. So European Union is going to finance solar pumps and lanterns in Tanzania for rural deployment. Longi Solar has supplied 250 megawatt of solar modules in Thailand in first half of 2021, that is from January to June, and by this move 250 megawatts is huge number for a small country like Thailand. So they have acquired 31% market share in Thailand. Spain Prodiel EPC is looking for a new partner and they plan to enter new PV markets. They are asking for new entities to join hands and form joint ventures with them. European Union bets big on energy savings, greener buildings to meet climate target. European Union has said that it will require countries to renovate energy guzzling buildings faster and meet tougher targets to save energy as part of the drive to meet climate change goals. And by this move, they have declared that the final energy consumption must decrease by 1.5% each year starting from 2024 to 2030. So it is a good move. This is a big move that was missed by many. I have put this in international news rather than the domestic news. Indian Energy Exchange has a big update. Indian Energy Exchange last week saw the highest amount of trading, real-time trading happening at any given point of time in the history. And Indian Energy Exchange also reported that India's peak demand has reached a higher high. That is, it has reached 200 gigawatts peak demand at any given point of time. So earlier it was reported, last to last week it was reported 198 gigawatts and this week it was reported 200 gigawatts. So this is a huge news and they are saying that green market trades are also in high volumes and they are seeing the highest of the highest numbers being reached in the Indian exchange. Indonesia has planned to exit coal power plants by 2030 and they are saying that they have a huge untapped potential for solar energy. But the only issue that Indonesia faces is they don't have any manufacturers producing solar wafers, cells or panels. They only have a capacity of about 2 gigawatts and most of which is not functional. So they are saying that by 2030 we will be gradually exiting the coal power plants, retiring the coal power plants, and they will be considering moving to renewable energy sources such as offshore wind and solar. Solar glass companies in China have reported the highest profit for 2021. So as we all know, the glass shortages were happening and glass companies raised the prices, so they have reported the profit, like they have reported profits have increased in the first half of 2021. So a report has come that Southeast Asia's big PV plans of about 27 gigawatt by 2025 are in pipeline and most of them are under development. So this is a big news for Southeast Asia. Alfanar successfully completes 100% acquisition of wind turbine OEM Senvion India. So Senvion India was previously handled by a German entity. Now they have been bought by Alfanar and Alfanar will use this entity, use this deal to cater to renewable energy development in that region. So this was a big news, and I also asked you to read this article. Solar Energy Industries Association in US has outlined a handful of priorities, and it has drafted a good letter to lobby in the parliament, and they have said that there are 6 demands that we need. First demand is they need policy certainty that the power long-term power purchase agreement will be met. They need ROI and ROW for interstate transmission. They are saying we need a right of way for interstate transmission and good prices in interstate transmission. They are asking for investment based tax incentives and tax credits. So ITC is the number one priority that they have mentioned, and there are various outlined in the letter that they are drafted. So go read this letter. There are 6 priorities that they are saying, and they are asking for a 1.2 billion infrastructure package from the government. Another news came that Asia's dominance of floating solar is only getting started. Like, Asia is the country that is rapidly deploying floating solar power plants throughout the dams, reservoirs, canals, and I think it all started with India putting up solar panels over the canals. So Asia is just getting started, and India has an untapped potential of 74 gigawatts floating solar, and so this is a good news. Renewable technology company Heliogen to go public at a $2 billion special purpose acquisition company deal. San Diego Community Power has signed a power purchase agreement with Bavari Energy. So Bavari Energy has installed a plant of 90 megawatt and 70 megawatt energy, 70 megawatt hour energy storage, and this is a long-term PPA. The price of PPA has not been disclosed. So this was all for this week in international news of solar energy and renewable energy. So I tried to cover this week in categories, and it is a playlist. You can click on the next video and watch the playlist. This was the video about international news. I hope you like the coverage in English, and I hope it reaches more audience throughout the world, because international news is meant for international market, and I hope the international market is looking at the videos and gaining insights from my video about what is the next move in the solar energy industry. So thank you for watching, and do share the video with your friends who are working in solar industry. Like and subscribe, and go watch the domestic and other ancillary EV and storage videos. Thank you.